Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dragon Talk on this cloudy morning.
Very typical Seattle,
Exactly,
I would say,
right?
which I love. Yeah.
Usually during PAX, it's not typical.
Yeah, usually it's pretty sunny, and then we get like one day of cloudy, but I
Yeah.
love cloudy, so I'm here for it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we have Gaurav Gulati here. Hello.
Hello, hi.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Greg.
You're here from Los Angeles.
All the way from Los Angeles, yes.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
We've got a full slate of stuff going on today for Dragon Talk. Gaurav and I are going to start and do our interview in a couple of minutes. And then we will do intros and outros. And luckily, we have a professional here. Way more professional than Shelly and I usually are.
Maybe. Semi-professional. I'm probably on the same level as you guys.
So Gaurav will take over as guest host for your own episode, which I don't think we've ever done before. Maybe
cool.
we have. I don't know. We'll see.
You've done a lot of these. I don't know.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I can't keep them all in my head. I'm no Chris Perkins. But yeah, we'll do that. And then at 2, we are talking to Jess Dempsey and Joey Iovino about the DOTS RPG program. We were talking last night, the two of them and I, about Long Island. So that's what most of the interview will be about, is our love of the LIRR.
Okay, all right.
It's funny how much how you know, I don't know, you meet somebody who's like near, or like the where you came from. And
Sure.
like, oh, that's all we were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
D&D RPG stuff, just that.
Right.
And then Chris Perkins will be on at 2 to talk some lore you should know. We've got some cool topics. I believe we're talking about trolls and the life cycle of trolls, as that was a Twitter I wouldn't say phenomenon, but people were definitely asking a lot of questions about how trolls get made.
Yeah. So Chris Perkins is going to have like an audio documentary about that, is what I presume. And
Exactly.
that sounds amazing.
Yeah, full of diagrams that you won't see, so you just have to imagine them.
Right.
Theater of the mind style.
Yes. Yeah. He's very good at that.
He is very good. And then I believe, what was our other topic we were going to do? Oh, it was going to be airships in Eberron.
Cool.
Which is near and dear
yes.
to many of our hearts. So that's exciting. I just love the idea of magic-fueled vehicles being a thing.
Yeah. There's a lot of those in Eberron.
Yes. Yeah. It's like one of the basics of the whole setting, which we'll get into in a little bit. But then there's also the soul coins that fuel the Avernus vehicles too.
Right.
So it's definitely a theme we're going on.
Yeah.
This and then we had like the of ships in the sea appendix from Ghost of Saltmarsh that was all about how you do a ship and stuff. So it's the year of the vehicle.
Yeah, you're getting big into vehicles.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's our stealth way of getting Car Wars and Spelljammer
out
there.
Yeah. Oh man, Spelljammer. People are asking for that.
I know, right?
Nonstop. I never got into it, but I'm so interested to see what it could be like in 5th edition.
Me too.
Yeah.
Right? I do love the campiness of it. I think that's my favorite part of it.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot. I mean, obviously, Acquisitions Incorporated, that source book, has a lot of that kind of tongue-in-cheek humor, but there's just something so weird and strange and Flash Gordon-esque about Spelljammer.
It feels very otherworldly, even compared to like when Wizards does a Ravnica book. That's otherworldly, but Spelljammer is a totally different beast compared to that,
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, the physics of it is so bonkers. But anyway, Spelljammer's confirmed. We're...
That's dangerous.
I know. That's almost been a running gag for a long time.
Cool.
Yeah. Whenever we mention it, people immediately will be like, oh, so it's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
we put the GIF out there, and then people are like, oh, it's a thing.
It's really happening this time, though. It's really happening.
It's for reals. I think that's our day. I got 4 hours on the mic in front of me.
Oh wow! Holy
fun.
cow! Okay.
Yeah. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, I'm here to help in any way.
Helping, making things happen. And I think we're ready to start because there's no more interference happening from other locations. So I think we're good to go. So those clicks mean we're recording.
Oh, okay.
And now it's the real podcast.
This is it.
Yeah,
we're live, but also later, not live.
So we're time traveling.
We're time traveling. Every time you record anything, you're time traveling, I guess.
Right? You're going in, you're putting yourself down. The people. Yeah, exactly. I understand.
Yeah.
Welcome to this interview of Dragon Talk. Yes. We have Gaurav Gulati. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm very excited to be here. I've never been to the Wizards building, and it's my first time. I saw the dragon.
Mitzi.
Mitzi? Oh,
Yes.
man. So
Near
cool.
and dear to your heart, because she's a Magic the Gathering based dragon, not a Dungeons and
Wait,
Dragons
really?
based dragon.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
I mean, that's all I know, right?
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
because the dragons of Tarkir, there was the
It's
whole...
a Tarkir dragon?
I believe.
Okay.
It is not... all I know is that it's not like a canon D&D dragon, right? It's not
Interesting.
chromatic. It's not like
Sure.
a red or a white or a black dragon.
Maybe it's one of Sarkin's dragons. Yeah,
I
that's
think it
crazy.
is.
That's
Yeah.
cool. That's
She
awesome.
is, 'cause it's Mitzi.
Yep, Mitzi. Yeah.
She's decorated out for summer right now.
Yeah. Sunglasses, Hawaiian shirt, some lays on her.
Exactly.
She looks great.
A big donut
Yeah.
floaty on the tail.
Yeah.
So cool. It's a new thing here at Wizards.
I can't wait to see the Halloween one.
I know.
I'm so excited.
Oh, I didn't even think about Halloween. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
it's coming right up.
I was just thinking fall, like sweaters and caps and
Halloween.
cardigans and corduroy pants.
Yeah, Halloween, Christmas, and then New Year's. Like, I don't know. There's so much you could do with it.
Nice. Yeah. So we've been dressing her up, and hopefully she goes out in style for the next the holidays. So you're here for PAX West.
Yes, yeah. I have been coming to PAX West for 4 or 5 years now, and I usually just do it for fun. This is just something I meet my friends who are from the East Coast. We all meet up here and spend the weekend in Seattle, and I have fallen in love with Seattle. The first time I came here, I loved it. I really want to move here. At some point, I would love to, work here. It'd be great. So yeah,
You're hired.
Yeah, great, cool. I can do this every day. I could do
Confirmed.
this every day. This is
I'm
great.
confirming everything in this.
Great.
In this
Awesome. I would love to edit videos here or any sort of other graphical work I can do. But yeah, I'm in LA right now, and weather-wise, it's completely different. It's very hot summer right now over there, and I very much like the cloudy, rainy weather.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm the same. When I started to come up here for PAX West for work, I would come home and just tell my wife all about how it's so green here. Everything is glorious. There's no bugs.
Yeah.
It's high summer, but it's like not hotter than 75.
Yeah.
Maybe. That's a hot day.
Sure.
Here in Seattle.
Yeah.
And I kept telling her about how great it was, and then I got this job, and I'm like, hey. I know. Well, she was like, "Oh, that sounds cool. I would like to move there one day." And I was like, "Well, here's the thing. I got something for you.
Okay.
We're going there."
Yay!
And it's all worked out. So yeah, no, I hear you. And then it feels like it's attracting a lot more people recently too.
Yeah, it's gotten very busy, and comparatively to rent prices and home prices, it's actually pretty similar to LA.
Yeah.
So that's actually good and bad for me because I'm already living in LA, so I can afford whatever this is.
Right.
But the more popular Seattle gets, the more expensive it'll get.
And
So-
especially more popular, I think, with the D&D community. I think
Absolutely.
a lot of people have congregated here, and it's really cool to see. Obviously, a lot of that's happening for PAX West, but
Right.
beyond that, I think people do the same thing where they come here and they see it and they're like, I love the vibe, and they want to be a part of the creativity that's going on in the city.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So people may know you from the Saving Throw channel. When did you guys start that?
So I actually wasn't there when they started it.
Okay.
So it started out about 6 years ago in literally in a garage. They just outfitted a garage to be a streaming space. It was Tyler's garage, Tyler Rhodes, who was one of the founders. It was Dom Zook, Tyler Rhodes, and Ben Dunn, who founded Saving Throw.
Okay.
And basically they were just streaming a D&D game out of their garage. And this was actually pre-Critical Role. This was like one of the first channels to start doing it. And they started getting an audience, and they started making money off it. And they're like, wow, you can do this. It's weird. It wasn't like a ton of money, but it was enough to, pay for the pizza they were eating and some minis or whatever.
Yeah.
And eventually they got a small closet office in a casting building in West Hollywood. And that's where I came in. That's where I met somebody, David Crennan, who was doing a game for them. Never Tell Me the Odds was the name of the game. And it was basically a fantasy flight game. It was the Star Wars Fantasy Flight that we started playing there.
Right.
And when I got there, I was like, I love the idea of live streaming RPGs. How can I help? So I started doing graphical work and making calendars and helping out for any marathons they did. And slowly over time, I became a producer, talent, and among other things. So many things I do. And I love doing it. I love Saving Throw.
Nice.
And we have content 2 to 3 times a week. And it'll be 4 to 5 actually coming up. We're getting pretty busy now. So yeah, it's a great place if you want to check out some RPGs. We do D&D. We do... we've done Shadowrun, we do Pathfinder, we've done Starfinder, we've done all sorts of RPGs. So
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that, it was a not fly by night, but it was, you kind of started, and then all of a sudden it comes on and it attracted more people to it.
It's gotten bigger every year. Now we have like a studio in Los Angeles, essentially proper, and it's just it's maybe double the size of this room actually, and it's enough to have like a streaming area one side and another like a couch area that we can do other things for interviews and stuff. So it's great.
That is so cool, and I love that it predated the kind of the boom, right?
Yeah,
you guys were there because I remember when I started working here like 4 years ago, like there was a few names that I had known from following on the Twitter, and you guys were a big part of that.
Oh, awesome!
And, and then it just everything's kind of taken off from there, and I love that you guys are now, growing and adapting to the landscape. And of course, the Broken Pack show was awesome.
And we just started working with you guys for Broken Pack last year, and that was like a dream come true. Like I've always wanted to do something with Wizards of the Coast. So I'm very happy to be part of that. Now we're about to start season 3, which starts on September 9th in about a week and a half.
Yeah, from when we're recording this. But when you're listening to this, it's probably starting a couple days. God, we're time traveling again,
September 9th is when it airs, which is 8 p.m. on a Monday. So
that's all you need to know.
Yes, that's all you need to know. And then
twitch.tv/DND.
Yes, exactly. And then going on from then. So, yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So season 3, where are you guys going? To start, just in case everyone, Ruben Bressler is the Dungeon Master.
Yes.
And it was started in Ravnica.
Yes.
To promote the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica that came out last year.
Yes, yeah. So we all started in Ravnica, and our first 2 seasons took place there, and we have 4 members of 4 of the 10 guilds represented there. And now season 3, we're going to hell. We're going to Avernus.
Nice.
We're excited to preview that book. So in our last at D&D Live, we did a show there, and that took us to the start of Avernus. Essentially, we ended up in a deserty area. So that's where we're going to start, and hopefully we'll survive. We're trying to aim for a darker, tougher season for us, so we can actually like no one escapes hell without a few scars, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I'm excited to see like what happens to us trying to escape hell, because I think our goal is to get back to Ravnica, because the whole war that was going on, we tried to do it at the same time that War of the Spark was going on, which is a big magic event.
Yeah.
So we basically had our characters leave for that event, and now we want to come back and see what happened with the war that was going on. But,
that's neat.
There's a bunch of character elements that we want to show off this year, and we're not sure what Ruben has planned for us. We talked a little bit. We had a meeting this week, and we're very excited to see what happens.
Nice. And your character is a member of the Azorius Senate?
Yes. My character is Lucian Ladrin. He's a law mage of the Azorius Guild, and he is very much he follows the rules and tries to get everybody else to follow the rules, much to a lot of people complaining about it, because the members in the party are not the Azorius, and the Azorius are essentially the police of that plane. So nobody really likes them because they are stickler for rules, and they want to do their own thing. So I'm usually the voice of reason and trying to do the right thing all the time, and that can grind some gears sometimes.
You're the lawful good paladin.
Absolutely,
trying to make sure everybody's on the up and up.
Yes,
But I like the way you play your character, because it feels like hard-boiled detective.
Yeah.
But with that lawful good kind of feel to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Ruben, when we started season 1, we talked about doing a noir D&D campaign, and that sort of fell through a little bit, but we tried to keep those elements intact because we wanted that. It was a murder mystery for the first 2 seasons. Essentially, It was like whodunit. So trying to figure out who that was, we had to go through a lot of, we had to find evidence and then link that to somebody else and figure out who actually did this murder.
Yeah. And
we did, no spoilers about who or what it was, but we did eventually figure it out. Now we're going to our next adventure to see what that is.
That's, I love that. I love that this show kind of underlines how we think of the D&D multiverse in a way, right? And that yes, you're based in Ravnica, which is
it's fantasy still.
It's fantasy, but it was a different flavor than the Forgotten Realms or Eberron or anybody's homebrew out there. And it obviously popularized by the Magic the Gathering sets that have been there for 15 years.
Yeah, I think Ravnica is one of their oldest and most popular planes that they've done. This is the 3rd time in Magic that they returned to
Right, it was Ravnica, then it was Return to Ravnica.
Yeah,
now it's Return to Ravnica.
Yeah.
The fourth one is going to be...
Yeah, probably something like that. Yeah, I think it'll be a few years, but everybody loves Ravnica. The 10 guilds are just so people hold them dear to their hearts. Everybody has a favorite guild.
Oh, right. It's like the Magic 5 colors where you can be like I'm red, but like no, but you can do the dual
you combine
thing.
it. Yeah, it's very interesting, and I love Ravnica.
There's something about and maybe it's something like kind of an innate human thing about like the math of it.
Sure.
For some reason, it doesn't seem like 5 colors should have 10 combinations.
Right. Yeah.
And only 10 combinations.
There really are only 10, which is it blew my mind the first time I realized. Like, wait, what about this color? Oh, that is.
Oh, that is. Yeah.
Right. They have them all, and then they've also done other planes which are 3 colors. And then I was like, oh, there has to be a ton of those, right? And there are, but they only do like 5 at a time, just to not have so many options in one set. So I think Tarkir, like we mentioned before, that's the last time they did 3 color pairings, or I guess they're not pairings, but 3 color wedges or whatever they were. Yeah, that's what they called them, wedges. I think
wedges. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So were you a Magic player for a long time?
Yeah, I've been playing Magic for maybe 15 years now, but I only really heavily got into it maybe in the last 7 or 8 years.
Okay.
With Innistrad was the first set that I liked.
Right.
The original Innistrad was when I originally got into it, and that's when I also learned that I love Gothic horror in all of its flavors. Like, and then Curse of Strahd was another thing that I was like, oh, this is totally my style. I love all that stuff. So I got into that, and I've been playing ever since. And I love Magic. Commander is probably my favorite format, and Modern is another favorite of mine. But
nice.
I've been playing Magic for a while, and hopefully we'll continue to play Magic.
What's the draw of Commander? Because there's for people who may not know, it's basically you pick a legendary creature to be your commander.
Yeah.
Right.
So basically, Commander is a format where you pick one of the many hundreds of legendary creatures that exist in Magic's history over all the card sets, and you build a deck around them. So basically, if you pick a commander of 2 colors, your deck can only have those 2 colors in it, which narrows down your playfield, and then your commander you can cast at any time. So it's always available. You need to have it in your hand. It's always in a command zone. So it flavors your deck in a way that you always want to build around your commander. So if your commander is based on like +1/+1 counters, you want other cards in that deck to play off of that, so it's strengthened and has like an identity. Mm-hmm. So whenever you have a commander out in the battlefield when you're like starting the game, you have some idea of how the other person's deck is going to play because of the flavor and the mechanics of that commander.
Right. Do you people ever, not necessarily role play, but like get into the story of their commander a little bit more?
Yeah, we can. Actually, a few years ago, I thought about combining role-playing with Magic the Gathering. And that was my idea, is basically you pick a legendary creature, and I basically built an entire system that I called Magic the Role-Playing. and I put it out there that people could play, and people really liked it. Like, there's a whole document that I made.
No way.
And so people can visit it now and check it out. I haven't updated in a while because I just got very busy, but basically it's you have a dungeon master, and they have encounter decks, and there's all sorts of ways to play it. But I think combining the lore and flavor of Magic with role-playing is something that anybody and everybody should do. Like, I love the flavor of that stuff more than I do the mechanics, to be honest.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, I think there is a certain, game-playing math brain that likes the mechanics of how to make things work. Mm-hmm. But, what's really compelling about Magic, as well as, the show Broken Pact, is that it takes all that stuff and makes it into storytelling. Yeah,
absolutely. And Ruben's been great about that because he's been using like actual Magic cards as items for D&D, and he's been like putting the actual like mechanic text on there. So it's very cool to see those things combined at the table in front of you.
And something I didn't realize about Magic, because I was a player back in 25 years ago, and then I got out of it for a long time, and I've only really dabbled into it. I've never been like full whole hog into kind of competitive play or anything like that. But when watching your show, I was like, the way he described characters really made it feel like the MCU or the fact that there's this myriad of characters that have maybe even had a card named after them. They just mentioned in flavor text, but over time, these little data points that are on each, one line of text over 10 cards over 15 years, you can build a story.
Absolutely.
And those characters have meaning to Magic fans, or at least the ones that pay attention to this type of thing. So it that was one thing that the show taught me, was that there was this wealth of tapestry of characters that you can play on, and that people will love just as much they love as seeing obscure character in the MCU.
Absolutely, yeah. Like mentioning the MCU, like you're right. It's very much like that, because the history of this, it's not comparable to comics, which are going for like 100 years now, but it's been 25 years of Magic, and there's plenty of places and people to pull from. And at the same time that like Infinity War came out, or Endgame, I can't remember. I think it was this year, because War of the Spark came out at the same time.
Yeah.
That was essentially the Endgame of Magic. Like, it was all these planeswalkers that you've known from other places and new ones coming together to fight one great evil. And it was at the same time as Endgame. So people were like, wait, are you guys just doing this to capitalize on Endgame? And it's like, no, they planned this 3 years ago. Like, they don't have time to be like, oh, it's coming out, we have to do something now. No, Magic, the way they develop Magic happens way earlier than like the set coming out. So they've been doing this for a while. It just happened coincidentally at the same time.
It's like a Deep Impact and Armageddon happening at the same time.
Yeah, that happens all the times in the movie industry. It's so weird.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we already made the movie. We can't like not release it at the same time.
Yeah.
Maybe ours will be better. They have to compete at that point.
Roll the dice.
Yeah, exactly.
So which was better, War of the Spark or Avengers Endgame?
Oh, that's a tough question. Endgame was probably better just because it was, the thing about War of the Spark is a lot of the flavor and the story is told in the cards, but they did do a novel as well. And the novel definitely did a lot of the backstory, but it wasn't complete enough. I wanted to hear about all the characters, but the novel didn't have enough pages to put all the flavor and backstory. But it did a really good job of talking about the characters that, perished and will no longer be a part of Magic, which is crazy.
Yeah.
No spoilers. I don't want to tell anybody who hasn't read the book.
Apparently someone spoiled me
when
we were walking around and all that. I'm like, oh,
we
really?
saw someone that had, passed away during the events of War of the Spark, and I'm sure people know at this point who it is, but I won't say it. They've been a mainstay character. It's essentially like Captain America, like that. He's been the Captain America of Magic. Now I've given it away. You know who it is. Everybody knows who this is now.
Well, maybe not people on this podcast, but
that's true. Yeah,
so
it's possible.
Yeah. Because as much as like I said, I participated in the Magic lore. Like, I just didn't realize the wealth and the depth of it. Right. So I encourage people to obviously Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica is a great source for that plane, but all of the Art of Magic books that have come out over the last 5 or 6 sets have been really glorious.
Those
I just
are
love
so good for
I love
inspiration.
well, obviously the art is all glorious, but it's the world building that goes into those. James Wyatt, who used to be on the D&D team, and who was a lot of the world builder behind Eberron. So he wrote like 3 or 4 novels and set in Eberron and stuff. So he works on that for Magic now and does all those Art of Magic books. So there's more crossover than people realize.
Yeah, and looking at the art of D&D and the art of Magic, like there's a lot of cross contamination there. A lot of the artists do work for both and stuff, and it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful art. Like, you can tell a story just by looking at some of the art.
Yeah.
I've seen people. I heard this once, that people can basically open a booster pack of Magic and you can lay out those cards, and you could probably make a D&D adventure just based on the titles and art of those cards. Like, there's locations, there's people, there's actions, so you can combine that out on the table in front of you and be like, yep, this could be a D&D adventure if you really wanted to.
Yeah. And I love that Ruben's kind of doing that with as the Dungeon Master for the Broken Pact, and casting those spells and having it be a part of what's going on.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that show starts on September 9th, you said.
Yes.
People who haven't been watching it, what do you think is your way to get people in to where you guys are now to start watching it for season 3?
So season 3, we've done 2 seasons, so that's 10 episodes each. You can watch it on YouTube, or we also have a podcast version. You can listen to it on in your car or whatever. But if you just want like a short blurb on how to get you into the start, we were basically we are a group of members of the guilds of Azorius, Boros, Dimir, and Selesnya, and we came together to solve a murder mystery. Amaro, which is a great druid in the lore of Ravnica, was murdered, and we tried to figure out who it was, and we went through all the locations in Ravnica to figure out who did it, and we did, and by the time we did, we had to leave Ravnica. We were essentially ejected because the war was about to start, and we couldn't be there. We were too important, so they essentially made us planeswalk away to Innistrad and then Avernus. So that's where we are now. We're in Avernus, and we're basically back to ground zero. We have no help. There's nobody here that we know. We're just stranded in a desert as far as I know, so we'll see how Ruben takes it from there, but...
Nice.
We're starting fresh in Avernus, and
maybe you'll find one of these infernal war machines to take you around.
We were talking about how the Infernal War Machines in the book, you can like build your own and like customize it, like
Yeah.
how our guilds would be represented, because the guilds no longer exist in Avernus, but we are such stalwarts of our guilds that we want those factions to be in Avernus. How can we bring those guilds to Avernus?
Yeah.
We're very excited because like Jordan Pridgeon, who plays the Boros Minotaur, the Boros are a very like militaristic and forward marching guild, and they would work very well in Avernus. And so he wants to start the Boros in Avernus. He wants to start a new faction,
smart.
but like based on him or whatever. So we'll see where that goes. I'm very excited.
With all the stuff we did at D&D Live with the different warlords who are, obviously there's the blood war going on in the background. So there's always that big meta thing of devils versus demons on the front lines. But I love that there's these little pockets of, autonomous gangs, essentially, who have their own vehicles and they have their own thing. And we introduced a bunch of those during D&D Live, like... shit, I'm forgetting some of the names of them, but like, Mad Maggie was
Maggie, that was the big one.
Yeah, when Jeremy Crawford was playing that character, it was amazing. So I could see, very easily player characters who get Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus creating their own type thing or sizing up with it. And I mean, Boros is a perfect thing. So I don't know if your character would necessarily want that, but
that's the weird part is like, so Lucian is very much the, follow the rules and go by the word of the law, but there's not many laws in Avernus. It's kind of a hellscape, but there are contracts. And that is one place where Lucian excels. Like he is a sort of a lawyer, investigator, and he loves contracts and deals. So he can look over those deals that the devils are giving off to everybody and be like, no, this isn't a good deal. You need to write this in triplicate and then double dot this. And like he's going to be very happy doing that.
Nice.
As long as they're not taking advantage of him. We'll see how contracts work out in hell. They're probably never in your advantage. So,
It's about figuring out the path of least resistance or the least evil choice.
What's the least evil choice? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know how the other characters are going to react to being in this hellscape, right?
So Lesnie is all about nature, and as Ruben kept on telling us, there's not many trees.
There is no nature there.
There's not many trees.
As far as I can tell.
So there's going to be a big disconnect for Tuturu, played by Ashlyn Rose. But I think she'll find a way to get along. And then Demir, Riley Silverman plays our Demir character, who is a rogue assassin sort of type, but I think she'll fit in just fine, actually. I think she'll do pretty well there.
I think the questionable morals of rogues kind of fits into Avernus pretty well.
Yeah, and Ruben was also talking about like combining magic and D&D again. Just because we left Ravnica doesn't mean magic won't play a part, because there's plenty of characters in magic that are and can be brought to Avernus. There's Tybalt, which is a planeswalker that is essentially a devil planeswalker, and then there's Ob Nixilis, which is a demon that can also be easily put into Avernus. So I would bet money that they would show up, and fingers crossed they do, because I love those characters.
So that's an interesting topic, because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe demons in magic are lawful evil, and devils are the chaotic ones, where it's opposite in D&D.
I think you're right about that. They haven't really had lawful or neutral in magic up until Ravnica. But essentially, yes, you're right. Yeah, that's essentially how they like flavor-wise go. So yeah, I'm curious to see how that works out too.
Because I wonder if the demon from magic will actually make pacts with the devils and
with us, the Broken Pact,
or you guys. Exactly right.
Oof, yeah, I'm very excited.
I like the fish out of water kind of story. That's going to be literally out of water because you're in the desert hellscape.
Well, that's why I'm very excited because like Ravnica, I've known about for 10 years, so I know a lot about it. Ruben knew even more. Like I was very surprised about his knowledge. He's very good about lore. And Avernus, I know almost next to nothing about, save for what we've done at D&D Live and what I've seen in promos. Like I've tried not to look at anything so I can take in and learn about this world as we go. Because that's just so exciting playing it in any D&D game, just exploring a brand new world and location.
And when you can't metagame it too much, right?
Yes, exactly.
Or at least you don't have to consciously not metagame.
Yes.
Right? When you're literally being like, both the player and the character don't know what the heck is going on.
Yeah. In Ravnica, that was hard because like he'd introduce a character and I'm like, oh my God, I love that character. But my character doesn't know.
But I can't fanboy out right now.
Like, I don't know who Jace Bellerin is. That's weird. Jace is probably a bad example because everybody knows him, but like other characters that he brought out and I was like, oh, Niv Mizzet. Oh, it's so cool. I love Niv Mizzet.
I love a dragon.
Yeah, but like the Azorius are probably not fans of the Izzet Guild because they break laws all the time. So they're like, ugh, these guys, they're mad scientists, always blowing up buildings. That's just collateral damage to them, but that's a ton of paperwork for the Azorius. So
Mal is definitely one of my favorites.
Mal?
What? Right?
Ral Zarek?
Ral.
Because you look
sorry.
like him.
Yeah.
Because you look.
I've been told.
You can cosplay him easily. You just have to put on the uniform and you're done.
Nice.
Yes, yeah, he's one of our favorites too.
It's the hair. I just like that.
It is the hair,
sticking
yeah.
straight up. It works.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Nice. Well, if you need me to guest,
I mean, absolutely. Anytime you're in the area,
that'd be fun. I didn't even think about that.
We'd love
we
to
should
have
have done
you.
that during Ravnica.
We definitely should have. And
Yeah.
you could still show up here.
Did you meet a lot of Izzet Guild when you were in?
We met Niv Mizzet, I think, and then we met a goblin who was like a mad scientist who was amazing. But I don't think we met anybody else. I don't think we met Ral. I think we heard about Ral in like the background, but we didn't meet Ral.
Yeah.
He was busy in the pre-events of war.
Right. And
So-
Ral's interesting too because he has a relationship with
Yeah.
another member of the guild.
Yeah,
A different guild, right?
Yeah, the guild being the Orzhov Guild.
Right.
And I forget the name of the other character. It starts with a T, I believe. But basically, yeah, that was just a very open thing they did in this previous set to say, like, yep, this character is a gay character with this character, and that is just an open relationship, and everybody loved it. Like, it was great.
Yeah.
Like, Magic's been doing that for the past few years, and we're all loving it. It's awesome. Yeah. Bring more diversity, bring more kinds of relationships into the game.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's been cool to see. So we talked a lot about your background with Magic and where
Yeah.
that came from. When did you start playing Dungeons and Dragons?
So my history with D&D, so when I was a kid, I got this board game called Dragon Strike. I don't know if you've seen it or heard of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a board game that TSR made before Wizards bought them. So it was a learn to play. It wasn't D&D, but it was like a board game version of D&D. Think about like those Ravenloft board games that came out a past few years ago. But it came with a VHS tape that's like 30 minutes long, and you could pop it in, and it teaches you in a very campy way how to play D&D. And they have actors and everything. I think one of the American Gladiators played like a barbarian on it.
Really?
It's so good. Like, I recommend anybody to watch it. It's on YouTube. It's 30 minutes long. It's on YouTube. You could watch it if you want. Whoops. And I watched it hundreds of times because, like, I could not convince anybody to play this with me. I was so sad. I had this whole board game. I had to play it all by myself, and I did several times. I just pretended I was playing it.
Nice.
And they had some solo scenarios too, but I couldn't get anybody to play it, so I was like so bummed. And then eventually I got older, and someone invited me to a game, and I finally got to play, and I loved it. And then I started doing my own games. I did like a Gamma World game, which is like sort of a Fallout Monsters game. And then when I moved to Los Angeles, I finally got a chance to actually start playing D&D proper and running my own games. So yeah, it all started when I was a kid, and luckily as I grew older, it actually became more prevalent and more popular.
Yeah.
And now it's more popular than ever, and I could not be happier that it's everywhere.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it is one of the strangest surprises of my life to see how, all gaming really, but tabletop gaming is specifically like, the attitude towards it has shifted
Totally.
from, I don't want my kids to do that, to be like, please, can my kids do this?
Yeah.
How can we make it work? And, parents facilitating that type of play, because it's imagination. You get to,
really
to
is.
do whatever you need to do. And so I never understood why, back in the day it was hard to find groups, but I was very similar. I was fascinated with it when I was a kid and wanted to play, but just couldn't. Even the friends that I had who were dorky kids who, loved Star Wars and that whole shebang, it was just, that was a bridge too far for them. Was
my
just to roll
my
some
friends,
dice.
my friends just saw like the numbers and the stuff you had to do math wise. There's dice,
Yeah.
and they were like, I just want to play Donkey Kong instead because it's easy. And I'm like, come on, I promise it'll be good. Look at this story; it's so cool. Watch
so
this
cool.
video.
Yeah. I wonder if a lot of it has to do, and this is the first time I'm really kind of considering this, but the presentation of the books
Okay.
were very, there was art and stuff
Sure.
in there, but it did look like a textbook.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, with the amount of like, you could
There's
squint your
tables
eyes and you'd be like, is this algebra?
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
sure.
So I wonder if that was subconsciously part of because why would a kid not want to pretend?
Yeah.
I
I honestly don't know because I was all for it, and there was just my friends just did not want to even try, and I was just so sad. But now everybody wants to do it.
I know.
Everybody does.
And I love the simulation nature of it too. The fact that you were like, in this world that is not real, but it has the semblance of realness to it. Like I always loved that part of it. And so that's where the tables and the percentages and all those things came in, because I was like, oh yeah, this town would have 12% halflings and this many things, and then in order to ascend from this level of druid to this level of druid, you have to find that one druid and kill him or best him, and that's the only or her, and that's the only way to ascend to the next level. Like that kind of stuff made it feel like a real thing, even though it was just this fantasy world. And I tried to like explain that to people, and obviously people was like, yeah, no, that's great. But like back then, people were like, what are you saying? Yeah. Why?
I mean, playing like computer games back then when they had like fantasy games on there that let you do things similar to that, like EverQuest as an MMO or something like that was similar. Yeah. But like in D&D, you can do whatever you want. You don't have like pre-made responses to questions. You can ask whatever you want and learn whatever you want. So it's just so many more possibilities in that world, and that's really what drew me into it. It's just the open-ended nature of exploration and combat and social encounters, all that put together in a one neat package with a rule set that you could join with your friends and have an ongoing campaign, you know?
Yeah.
It's just amazing. D&D is just amazing.
I wish I could go back in time and show people this podcast.
I know, yeah.
And be like, no, listen to like all of the passion that every single person we speak to on here about what this game can do. You know, it's funny how we fly that freak flag so much, and it doesn't feel like it's that different. It just feels like, oh no, this is commonplace.
Yeah, I was telling you this yesterday, but I went to Staples the other day to get something printed for D&D, and I was very worried because like, you know, you go out in public, and I got bullied at a young age, so I know like showing off your freak flag sometimes is not great. And even though I know people aren't going to publicly make fun of you in a Staples, like I'm worried in my social anxiety.
You can't. You're right. It's not rational, but you can be like, no, I can totally still be nervous about it.
Yeah. So I had like a flash drive, and I took it over, and I went to Staples, and the guy working there was like a senior in high school, and he looked like one of the kids who like would totally make fun of me. And I'm like, okay, I'm sure I'm an adult. He won't do this. And I went back there. He's like, so what are you printing? I'm like, this D&D thing. He's like, are you kidding me? I love D&D. I play all the time. It's my favorite thing in the world. Can I tell you about my build? I built a paladin, and he's a warlock, and he can do 2,400 damage a turn. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is the best thing ever. I spent an hour just talking to this dude, and he was very nice. And he's going off to college for like architecture. And he was like, man, I wish I could get into some sort of like doing D&D officially. And I'm like, man, architecture is like 100% what you could do. Like
you're designing dungeons. And
And he's like, oh, I already do that. And I'm like, yeah, keep doing it. Do it for DM's Guild. Like go out there and show off all your stuff. Like I guarantee you can do this. That makes me so excited for the future of D&D and our future generations as well. Like that's so cool that people are so proud about D&D and loving it and want to share it with the world.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I know. And then we were talking about this last night too, but it's a good anecdote to share. I went to Universal Park, Universal Studios, and then went to Islands of Adventure. Mm-hmm. They're connected down there in Orlando, Florida. And I was wearing, I didn't even think about it. I have so many D&D shirts. Right. I just was wearing my blue one with the white D&D logo on it. And I didn't really think about this ahead of time, but of course, everybody who works at Universal Studios, from the concessions people to everybody doing the rides, everyone to a team like, oh, I play D&D, and they immediately went into talking about their characters. Like it was just like this open-ended thing, and some of them I told them I worked there, and some of them I didn't. I just wanted to kind of get through the day. But one specifically I remember because it was a ride where you kind of get on and they help you into these flyer things. It was a pterodon flyer thing from Jurassic Park, right? So the guy was literally helping you get in, straps you on, and then you go around the ride and you come back out, and he's there taking me off the ride. So he's telling me about his character as I'm going off on the ride. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. And then the ride happens. It's 2 minutes long, and I get back into it, and then he launches back in right where he left off, and be like, oh yeah, and then we got this going on, and we're gonna do this, and I may be trying to sorcerer next. I don't know. And it was just this stream of consciousness that he was so excited to tell somebody about what's going on with his story that he's doing. And
he should have just jumped on the zip line with you and just kept on talking, just hanging on to you. Like, so my paladin's really cool. His name's Roderick.
It was totally that. It was great.
And that's great. Like, I love how much people want to share this now. And that's like, Twitch and streaming and YouTube. And it's so popular now that everybody wants to share their stories and their characters. Like, and that's awesome. I love how far it can reach out into the interwebs and other forms of media.
For sure. And then, of course, the thing that you were getting printed at
yes.
Staples.
Yeah.
There's another show coming up.
Yes. So we are. This is our formal announcement or unofficial official announcement, but we are doing another show with Wizards of the Coast for the new Eberron book. Eberron: Rising from the Last War is the name of the book that's coming out, and I'll be DMing a show starting in. Well, so this show will be a little different because it's not a streamed show. It'll be filmed and then edited out and sent to Twitch Premiere and YouTube, essentially. Right. But yes, we'll be doing 10 one-hour-ish episodes for that. And I'm very excited. Eberron is a little new to me because I learned about it a little bit during 4th edition, I believe. Mm-hmm. And then getting this new book, I've just been reading over it for days, and there's just so many cool ideas. The new mechanic in this book they talk about a little bit is the Patron Mechanic, which we've talked about.
The group patron?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is basically a patron that sort of funds the missions that you're going to be going on. So there's a few in the book, and the one that I've chosen to put this campaign on is the Dark Lanterns. The King's Dark Lanterns is what they're called. And this is a group of, essentially, it's an espionage agency that works for the king of I can't remember the name, but it's the king of, not Eberron proper, but one of the provinces of Eberron. Mm-hmm. And you'll be essentially sent on missions that are like spy missions. So think like Mission Impossible, Kingsman, James Bond, stuff like that. And you'll be getting gadgets as your gear, and you'll be meeting contacts and doing all sorts of cool spy stuff. And that leads to, high tension thrills and chases and weird boss NPCs that are like twirling mustaches and have like crazy death machines or something that they want to thwart you with. So I'm very excited to see where that's going to go. We're going to be doing the adventure that's written in the book, and I'm going to be flavoring it with this in the background, essentially.
Nice. Yeah. So, I'm similar to you where I knew what Eberron was, but I haven't really been able to delve into what makes it really cool. And then now when we just announced it, it's coming out November 19th. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited for more people to jump into it too. But what I really love about it is, so much of fantasy is about medieval-ishness, right? Or early Renaissance, or that kind of like feudalism, essentially.
Yeah.
Right. And what Eberron really is about to me is like 20th century stuff, or the early 20th century, like after the Industrial Revolution. I want to say the Industrial Revolution because it's very different in Eberron because the industry is powered by magic.
Yeah,
right?
It's a magical revolution, essentially.
Yes. Yeah, but it has the same, in this world, it had the same effect that industry did on our world, where there's newspapers and spy organizations, and the enmity between these nations is very similar to World War I, World War II type things, and it takes place after a major conflict has devastated many of the locations and peoples of this world. So it's recovering from that, and so it's a way to deal with a little bit more modern ideas and storytelling than most fantasy is able to kind of grok. So that's really exciting to me. Yeah,
a big thing about Eberron is transport. They have very, very varied ways of transporting people from one location to another. They have sky coaches, they have airships, they have lightning rails, which are the trains, which are so cool. Like they're not on tracks, they're on like runes that like have the train levitate and go. And
it's like a combination between like a mag train and running on a lightning bolt. Like literally a lightning bolt is what keeps them going.
Exactly. And there's like mechanics of how that works. Like in the train, there's a compartment that contains like a creature that is causing this to happen, essentially. And then you have to switch it to go the other way. Yeah. It's very cool. Yeah.
I know, right? It's like it's almost like a kid's version of like, what is technology?
Yeah. Yeah. Like if you told a kid like invent a train in the feudal world, they're like, okay, it runs on magic runes. And you're like, yep, this is it. That's the train.
Done and done.
But it's awesome. It's great.
Yeah. And then the Warforged are a really interesting kind of idea of, I grew up watching Star Trek Next Generation and Commander Data, that idea of battling with what is sentience and what is a soul, and does a thing that's made by a human have that type of thing. And so like the Warforged are all dealing with their place in the world, being, the added thing is that they were made as weapons. Yeah. They were basically made as weapons for war. They're living weapons. They're living weapons. But then after the war's over, what do you do?
It's a huge thing in the book, and I'm glad they talk about it a lot, because like when you think Eberron, most people will think Warforged immediately. That was like the key element that made them different visually from actual like regular Forgotten Realms stuff. Right. And they treat it very well in here. Like the actual adventure talks about like there's a lot of Warforged that just do like labor that they can find because they are essentially like migrants from a different place, and people treat them like lesser beings almost sometimes, and so they have like parts missing, and that's just who they are. Like they're trying to just not feed themselves; they're trying to find money to replace their arm. Like that's what they're trying to do just to get by, so they can do more work.
Yeah,
So it's very interesting, and they also have different levels of sentience. I was reading a book. Yeah, I was reading a book called Tales from the Last War, which is an Eberron book that came out years ago. And they talk about
might have been written by James Wyatt.
It's possible. Yeah, it's possible. But that's a really good jumping on point if you want to learn about Eberron. That book is just 10 short stories about Eberron that take place after the war.
No, it's by Mark Sehested.
Sehested.
Yeah.
Tales from the Last War. But they talk about how Warforged were built, and then like some of them just have like they talk like this because they are just robots, but some of them have full sentience and they have emotions and everything.
Yeah.
So it's weird, and that's how people see it. Like, no, that's just a machine, but like some of them aren't. Some of them are actual full-fledged things with emotions and lives and friends and family. So,
and what I think fascinating about that too is that there's good Warforged, and then there's evil Warforged, and some that are damaged so much that they almost have a PTSD qualities in their lives, and they want to be able to get help and figure that out. And so, I mean, that's why there's so many more modern stories I think that can be told using Eberron. That I'm really excited to see what your show does. So, you as Dungeon Master, have you done a lot of dungeon mastering for live streams?
I have. I did 2 mini episodes, so 6 episodes in Barovia. I did a story that takes place in Ravenloft, but 100 years after Strahd had died. So it was like, what's Ravenloft? What's Barovia like after Strahd has been killed? He always comes back, but like it hasn't happened yet. So my story tells the beginning of like the return of Strahd, and I called it "It's Always Cloudy in Barovia" as a playoff. It's always cloudy or always sunny. So yeah, I did a few of those, and I've done some one-offs, and I've done a few other things. But yeah, this is my first official for Wizards like DMing thing. So I'm very excited, and hopefully I knock it out of the park.
Nice.
I'm stressed too, because like there's a lot of this, since this isn't a live stream, it's a pre-production and filmed thing. There's a lot more that goes into it because you have to get everything done in a few set amount of days and then edit it all together. I'm also editing it, so I have to add a lot of the sound and stuff to it too. But I'm very excited.
Well, that almost gives you more, of an auteur type thing to it than a live stream would allow you to do.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah. I have more control over it. And, there are tons of live streams now, but the way I usually get my content for live stream and stuff is through podcasts or edited stuff like this. So I just appreciate having a crunched down version without all the dead air and stuff. And some people have time for that, but I'm just so busy. I love having it just condensed for me and well edited with music and sound effects and all that. So I'm excited to see how that process works out.
And I like the framework that you have set up so that they're going to be going off on these spy missions and things like that.
They'll have a handler.
Really neat.
I'm trying to think of like a name for like the handler. Like, there was Moneypenny for like James Bond or whatever. So I'm thinking of like, I don't know, Gold Nickel would be like for theirs. Miss Gold Nickel. I don't know. Maybe I'll just use that. So something similar. But I want those tropes to be there recognizably, that this is playing off of this property or that, but flavoring it so that it's in D&D, because I don't think anybody's done that yet. And like looking in this book, like there's so many other patrons, but this is the one that stuck out to me as like one of the coolest ideas you could do for a video D&D stream.
Yeah, and the patrons is neat because the idea of a patron as your quest giver is not new to Dungeons and Dragons by any means, but the idea of having mechanics associated around that, as well as having. I mean, there's a slew of them that you can choose from as examples, and of course you can use those examples to design your own. Yeah. But I love that like some of them are like university researchers or archaeologists or newspaper reporters and things like that.
Yeah, there was the Sharn Inquisitive or something. There's a newspaper that you said, and then like you mentioned school, that you could set a campaign in Eberron school, sort of like Harry Potter. Like they have the whole thing for that. That's really cool. There's a bunch of them in there, and there's all sorts. There's a military one. There's a magic one that's just like mages and stuff. There's a bunch.
And there's mechanics in there, so there's benefits to choosing one of these for your group early. Into a certain extent, so you could do that in the session 0 and get it ahead of time. But I also like the idea of like it naturally happening and being like, okay, now this is your group patron, and then you all get this benefit to signing up with them. Yeah,
exactly. So, and they also talk about like each faction has like enemies and stuff, and other examples of factions that could be fighting against you, and what you get if this happens, and you have ideas for home bases and complications. and missions that you've been on, and they flesh it out very well.
Neat. We'll, of course, be having a lot more information about, all of Eberron Rising from the Last War soon, as we'll delve into the writers and all the lore and stuff behind that. But this show will have more information on that coming up, too. I think you have a placeholder name, right? What's the
so I think the name is going to be the King's Dark Lanterns, which is the name of the group, the espionage agency. But I might just shorten it to Dark Lanterns because that's a little easier to market. So we'll see. The King's Dark Lanterns is the long title so far.
Got it.
Yeah.
And we'll tell you when that's going to be coming out, but probably in the November-ish time frame.
Yeah, I guess early November, maybe late October, depending on how the edits and filming works out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So look for that, and that will get you prepped for when the book comes out on November 19th everywhere.
Yes.
So that'll be really exciting. Awesome. Do you want to talk about the cast yet, or you want to wait on that?
I should probably wait because we haven't 100% locked it down.
Okay.
So, we haven't signed contracts and stuff yet. So
Sure.
I think I should probably wait. But we have a good crew.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm chomping at the bit.
You know about some of them. So yeah.
It's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
Cool. I can't wait. And I love that we're going to be adventuring in Eberron.
Yeah. I'm very excited to start that.
Cool. All right. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for coming up here and being a part of all of the magic here that occurs at Wizards of the Coast. It was cool to take you around and see your eyes and your friends as well. Got to be wide-eyed around these offices.
Thank you so much for having me. This is such a blast. A dream come true, honestly.
Nice. Where can people find out about you personally, as well as how to watch Broken Pact and all that stuff?
So I'm on all the socials at DoubleGXG. So that's the word double, then GXG. And then you can follow Saving Throw Show, which is the Twitch channel that we do stuff on, which is twitch.tv/Saving Throw Show, and on Twitter at Saving Throw Show as well. And then Broken Pact starts September 9th. That's a Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific time, and that'll be on twitch.tv D&D. And I think that's all the things. Eberron will also be on twitch.tv twitch.tv.dnd as a premiere, and then on your YouTubes eventually after that, I assume.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, it will be.
Yeah.
And then, of course, as you said, Broken Pact is also all available on YouTube
yes,
now, as well
it's
as
all
in
available.
podcast form.
Yes, it's also on podcast form. So, yes, please check out the Broken Pact, which starts very soon.
Yeah. And it's not, you don't have to do like 40 episodes, right? Because I think you've got, 20 total?
For what? Oh, for Broken Pact?
For the previous 2 seasons
yes,
total?
there's only 10, and then there's like a Christmas episode that was like a fun one-off, and then I actually ran one session of the Broken Pact as a side story, which was on our channel on twitch.tv, which I think was one of the really good ones too, so please check that out. So there's about 21-ish episodes, yeah. So not too long to catch up.
Yeah, get in there and then get ready for September 9th for when they're going to be in Avernus.
Avernus, welcome to hell.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Very excited for that. All right, well, thank you so much, and we will kick this off with the ending of this episode interview.
Thanks, Greg.
No worries. All right, awesome. Thank you, guys. Twitch folks, we are going to take a short break. And then the two of us will be back, and we'll say all those same things all over again.
Cool.
But in more, intro form.
Cool.
All of the fun stuff. Thank you so much for sticking around.
Absolutely.
We'll be back in just a couple minutes.